Welcome to another edition of Kiwanis Conversations. My name is John Maihos for the Kiwanis Club of Beverly. People ask, what is Kiwanis? Kiwanis is a global organization of volunteers dedicated to improving the world, one child and one community at a time. For the Kiwanis Club of Beverly, I'm pleased to have two guests from the Montserrat College of Art for a very special event called Artrageous 28. We're going to learn more about that in today's show, and our guests today are the featured artist, Steve Locke. Steve, welcome to our show.
John, it's great to be here.
And Leonie Bradbury, the Director of Galleries and Curator for the Montserrat College of Art. That is really cool. I love that title.
Thank you.
I love that title. You know, it almost makes me ask, how many galleries does Montserrat College of Art have?
Well, we have three different galleries, and they have each a specific program that I'm responsible for.
Oh my goodness, so where are the three galleries?
Two of them are located at 23 Essex Street in our main building, right on the Beverly Common.
Right, okay.
And then we have a third one, which is located on Cabot Street at 301 Cabot.
Isn't there something at the Cummings Center from time to time as well?
Sure, we have a student-run gallery called the Bear Gallery, and they have a satellite site that they're in charge of at the Cummings.
So art is everywhere in Beverly because of you.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
I would say that.
Yeah.
I would definitely agree with that.
Steve, thanks for coming on the show today. I know in addition to being the featured artist at this Artrageous event that we're going to have, and the date on it is?
It's March 29th.
March 29th. Now, this isn't the first time you've done this.
Nope,
No.
that's the 28 part.
28. Is that what?
28?
Wow.
Yeah.
That was
Auction,
tricky.
yeah.
Yeah. So even if somebody is missing this year's, they may have gone to one in the past, and they'll certainly be able to go to one in the future.
Exactly.
This has been ongoing for so long. It's part of Beverly. So in addition to being featured artist, what do you do?
What do I do? I am a teacher. I am a professor at the Massachusetts College of Art and Design. I also make paintings. I make a lot of paintings.
Now, how lucky were we to get you involved with this Montserrat College event?
Well, I wouldn't say it was lucky. It's because, you know, Leonie has been, Leonie was one of the first people to ever show my work at the Schlossberg Gallery at Montserrat. And we've been friends for a really, really long time. So when she asked me to do it, I was like, of course, I would do anything for her.
Yeah.
And plus, you know, there have been other really great featured artists like Raul Gonzalez, Rachel Perry Welty, other really, really terrific artists so it's nice to be in such good company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where did you go to school?
I went to BU for my undergrad, and I went to Mass Art for grad school. And that's it. That's all. That's all.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's nice. It's more than I've done. I tell you, that's great. Now, out of curiosity, have you ever had any students from Montserrat who have then been featured artists at some of these Artrageous, or do we look forward to that in the future? How does that all work?
Well, I mean, we include a lot of our students' artist work in the auction. So often they are in part of the silent auction. We have about 240 works that are part of the silent auction, and many of those are works by our students, alumni, faculty, as well as regional and national artists. And then we also have a live auction, and those items are juried in by outside jurors, and we sometimes have student art in that as well.
Now, when you say juried in, what does that mean?
Well, we invite two outside people from the art world to come and look at the submissions for the auction and select which pieces they think would do best in the live auction.
I took a look at the website that has some of the pictures or the artwork, pictures of the artwork that's going to take and be presented, and it's really kind of snazzy. It's really
good.
nice.
Yeah.
And if people want to see this, is it going to be available for them to view after the auction as well? Will they be able to see what was presented?
Well,
Do you know?
the auction is 2 weeks from now, so they can look on the website ahead of time, and there's still time to buy tickets. So if they want to come, I think they should.
Yeah.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
Good segue.
So, yeah.
You could work in TV.
Yeah,
Well, so again, let's get the date out there for when Artrageous 28 is. That's again March.
It's March 29th, and the doors open at 6.
Where will it be hosted?
It'll be hosted at Shetland Park in Salem this year.
In Salem, so that's not far. And you have a nice setup at Shetland Park for this?
Yeah, it's an old textile mill. So, and it's a big raw space, which is what we like. We just like to take over a big room and then transform it for the night of. So it'll be something totally unique that no one's seen before, and it'll be really fun.
So when I go in, it'll be like going to an art gallery in a way.
Kind of, yeah, except huge. It's like a very big space, and there will be more than just art on the walls. There's also going to be art in the moment stations where you can see students as well as faculty making art right there in front of you. So we'll have printmaking and photography and sculpture and animation and all sorts of different things.
Who would miss that?
Right.
Who would miss
Yes,
something like that?
It's pretty terrific.
What's it going to cost to go?
Actually, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Stop me there.
That's okay.
That's go to the website.
Yeah, absolutely. And the website is going to be at montserrat.edu/Artrageous28.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to get to. In fact, we're going to show some of those pictures in a little bit, not just right now. I know you've got a piece that's out there, a number of pieces, but we've got one that we're going to show because we don't want to give it all away.
Oh, no,
we want them to come to the event.
Absolutely. It's going to be a great event, too.
I can't disagree with you. Yeah. You are watching Kiwanis Conversations. My name is John Maihos, and very pleased to have with me two people from the Montserrat College of Art, Artrageous 28 program today. And this is an event coming in March, but there's so much to see on their website. You ought to go and visit it anyway. So thank you. What other type of things are you going to be showing? You said sculpture, you said paintings, you said live art. That's anything else that I can expect to see? Any more fun?
Well, I mean, I think you could imagine any kind of artwork in terms of the different processes.
Okay. Well, you got to understand, I do stick figures.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think
there are any stick figures.
No stick figures. So balloon art. Now I like balloon art.
There's no balloon art either. I hate to disappoint you. But there's really some gorgeous photography in the show this year. When I went to meet up with Leonie to drop off some of my pieces for the show, I got to do a quick sneak preview at all the things that were in the auction. And there's a couple of artists, one of them, Anthony Palacci, who actually has a wonderful show up in New York right now. And his pieces are going to be in the auction. And I got to say that if you're really interested in art and finding something that not just looks good or is for a good cause, but something that is really on the cutting edge of what's happening in the art world right now, this is a really good auction to come to. The Montserrat students are really, really talented.
You know, we're so lucky to have Montserrat College of Art right in Beverly.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. Beverly's a college town, and sometimes we don't see it because some of the schools, and we have some great schools in Beverly, between the folks at the Endicott College, and even Gordon College is close to Beverly, but Montserrat's right there.
Yeah,
you know, it makes the downtown.
And also, you know, I think that, you know, in terms of the art world, it's not outside of you, or it's not outside of the neighborhood. It's right in your neighborhood. Yeah. Leonie and Pam and all of her staff over there have worked really hard to bring cutting-edge contemporary art right here to Beverly. Yeah. There's a gorgeous show up right now by Masako Kiyama at Montserrat right now. There's Made, the show that Leonie just curated that has Antoniadis and Stone in it. Really, really great stuff that you don't have to go anywhere. It's right in your own backyard to see it.
You brought it to us.
Yeah, exactly.
Really
That's what's so wonderful about what she does over there. She brings all of that stuff right here to Beverly.
And this is all student-driven. So tell me a little bit about the student at Montserrat. What's a student like today in an art school in downtown Beverly?
Well, I mean, that's a tough question because I think there isn't just one type of student, I think we have a very diverse body of students, and I think that's something that we take great pride in, that we're not trying to turn our students into one type of artist or encourage them to make one type of work. We really encourage diversity, and we like for them to find their own voice. And that's, you know, usually you can't see that was made at Montserrat in many ways, whereas with some schools you can see like, oh, they must have gone to this school or that school because I can see the way that they're painting. But at Montserrat we really try to encourage them to find their own style and their own voice.
And where do students come from to come to Montserrat?
A lot of them come from New England. A little bit over half of our student population comes from New England, but we've been reaching out farther and farther, and we also have students coming from the Mid-Atlantic, from Texas, and you know,
the word's getting out, huh?
Yeah.
And Montserrat Beverly's a big star on the map now because of you folks.
Well, and I think in a way people choose Montserrat because it's a quiet, safe, nurturing environment, but we're right outside of Boston, so you can just hop on the train and still experience city life, but then while you're at school, you can focus, and it's a very inviting and kind of inclusive environment. So
I'll tell you, that's a special message about Beverly. We are so close to everything. It's nice. Whether you want to ski or go to a show in Boston or have those people come to the North Shore and see the great art or enjoy the restaurants that are in downtown Beverly.
Right.
But I have to say, John, I won't be skiing. John, there won't be any of that.
You don't do the skiing?
No, there won't be any of that. No.
You're a fair weather guy, huh?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Well, the calendar tells me that spring and summer are coming. Okay, it's hard to believe.
It's really hard to believe right now.
You know, I also want to ask a little bit about the art and how the students have been selected, and you talked about the jury process and all, and I know we have a few things I want to focus on in our next segment of the show today, but I understand this is going to be a very great day, the Artrageous 28. There's a nice website for it, there's an entry fee, and what's the money go for? Why are we doing all this?
There isn't really an entry fee, unless you mean the tickets for people to come.
Yes, that's right, yes.
Yeah. So the money goes 100% to student scholarship, to student financial aid. Over 80% of our students receive financial aid, and I think, you know, as many people know, that the cost of college just keeps going up. So in order for people to afford to come to Montserrat, we like to help them out, and this is one big way that we can support them in coming and staying at Montserrat. We
can support the art community by coming to Artrageous 28.
Yes, you can, and I think Beverly too, because I think Montserrat is such a big contributor to the city and to the life of Beverly that you're not just supporting the individual students, but you're also supporting the life of the city.
Well, let's get more into the art auction after this break. I'm John Maihos. You're watching another edition of Kiwanis Conversations. Very happy to have with me today Leonie Bradbury from the Montserrat College of Art and Steve Locke, who's the featured artist at this year's show. And we'll be back with more on the show right after this.
Every 9 minutes, a baby dies from tetanus. With tetanus, a newborn lives just a few days, marked by painful spasms, preventing even the comfort of a mother's touch. You can protect the connection. Kiwanis International is raising $110 million to eliminate maternal and neonatal tetanus. We need your help. Donate today. Protect the connection.
The Eliminate Project is an international project that Kiwanis International has taken on. Eliminating maternal neonatal tetanus is such an important project. We hope to have it completed within the next 2 years. If you'd like to donate to the Eliminate Project, just visit eliminateproject.org. I'm John Maihos for Kiwanis Conversations, and I have with me two guests in studio today. Leonie Bradbury, who's the director and curator at the Montserrat College of Art, and Steve Locke, who's a featured artist at this year's Artrageous 28. So, tell me, Steve, you've got shows other places too.
Yes.
You've got some important stuff coming up in May. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, as you know, John, I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, and I have an exhibition there. May 16th, it opens at the Museum of Contemporary Art in Detroit. The show's called There's No One Left to Blame, and it was curated by Helen Molesworth, who is here at the ICA in Boston. So I'm really excited about that.
How many pieces of art will you have on display in a show typically?
For this show, there's paintings, and there's paintings that are on the wall, and then freestanding paintings that are on the floor. So there's probably close to 45 paintings in the show. It's a pretty big show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, again, you know I draw stick figures, so of course I'm in awe.
You draw beautiful stick figures.
Not having seen mine.
I want to reassure you there.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Thank you. This is good for my ego. We're going to invite you back. But what motivates you?
You know, it's funny. I think every artist has their own reasons for doing what they do. I think that I don't think I'm any different than anyone else with a job. You know, I just love my job. My job happens to be making pictures. I wanted to be a portrait painter when I was very, very young. I thought that that was a job that I could have. But the more I painted portraits, the more I realized I really didn't like being around people and painting their portraits.
Now wait a minute.
People can be very, very difficult when you're painting them. So, and then I just learned over time. I found my own vision and my own voice over time. So that's really what drives me, is I have this personal sense of vision, like almost every artist does.
Yeah. I know we've got one of your pieces on a slide, and at some point, in fact, if we can show it up now for people to see, they'll kind of get a flavor of maybe some of your work right now. I wonder now, when I looked at it, I saw a lot of different colors. I mean, this looks complicated to me. And yet there's the geometric figures there. I mean, how do you do that? How do you do that?
I think sometimes it's as simple as walking from one room to another, right? A room where there's wallpaper, and then you see the edge of the wall where there's no wallpaper. Or someone hangs a framed picture on a wall that has wallpaper on it. It's those sorts of things that intrigue me. And I go to a lot of museums. I spend a lot of time at the Gardner Museum. I spend a lot of time at the MFA in Boston, especially in the American Wing. And what Elliot Bostwick Davis has done there with wallpaper on the different floors of the museum is really, really inspiring to me. So a lot of the work has to do with, domestic space and understanding how textures are layered upon each other. And then, this way of painting portraits that sort of subverts the notion of what a portrait is supposed to do. Like a circular picture of a man is usually something you see on a coin or on money or something.
True.
So if you make a circular...
No, I don't have enough of that.
Oh, well, who does?
Yeah.
Okay. But if I take that same format and paint a guy sticking out his tongue, it sort of troubles the idea of what sort of public representations of men can do.
So is there a message that we see in your painting? Is there something, aside from it looking cool?
Oh, you're very kind. You're very kind.
What, do you send a special message in your art?
Well, like I said, I have my own reasons.
Right.
I would never want to tell people what to think. I think that that's really arrogant when artists say, my work is about this, and this is what you have to think. I think people can get whatever they want to get from them. But I do think that I want people to think that they're beautiful. That's really important to me. I want people to I want people to think about them after they've seen them. I think the worst thing in the world is to look at something and then never look at it again, or never think about it again. Look at it, and then when you're driving home or stop and shop, you think, that guy looks like the guy that was in that painting that I saw that artist do, or that reminds me of the wallpaper at my grandmother's house. Just some sort of connection like that.
Let me ask that question then.
Sure.
I can't imagine what the inside of your house looks like. Whether or not, do you have your paintings on the walls? Or
no.
Do you have other people's paintings on the walls?
I have other people's paintings on my walls.
And who would you select as people's paintings on your
Oh,
walls?
gee. So Frank Moishka, who's a wonderful artist who works with the landscape in New York. Guillermo Cuica, who's a wonderful painter from Argentina. Josh Astor, who was my studio mate, who's a fantastic artist who lives out in California now. Susanna Coffey, who was one of my teachers in school. Sean Leonardo, who's an amazing performance artist who sent me stills from one of his performances. So I collect art mostly from my friends and people I know. But every once in a while I'll go to an event like Artrageous, or the other day I just bought a wonderful painting by Kathy Souls, who's an artist who lives in Boston. Beautiful Cape Cod edge of the ocean painting that she made. Just gorgeous, gorgeous. So no, I really don't have a lot of my own work.
So your house is like a gallery.
My house is like a tiny museum. It really is. It's like a tiny museum. That's really what it's like.
Excellent.
Excellent. Art's piled up everywhere, and I have a whole box of stuff that's waiting to be framed. So
let's talk about Artrageous 28 just a little bit more, because this is a really exciting event for the college and a great opportunity for the students as well. They must be excited to have their work on display.
Yeah, I think they are really excited. It's exciting for them to see their work interact with the public, because usually when they're making it, they're not necessarily thinking of someone else looking at it or someone else having a relationship with their work.
In fact, let's see if we can't show some of that art. I know we've got some selected slides of the students' artwork that's going to be at the Artrageous auction. So as we're talking, maybe viewers can also see it. So it sounds like it's going to be a great time, and students are going to be excited about that.
Yeah, and I should say that the artwork that we're looking at is actually not necessarily made by our students. This is an alum of ours. This is another alum, Anthony Pelocci. So there's alumni, recent alumni, some faculty, and also some nationally recognized artists. Actually, this is a student right here, Aubrey Gauthier. So it's a mix of works.
And I can see some of the photography as well. And this is really inspiring in a way. I almost see things within that.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
very cool.
And these are all works that will be in the live auction. And that is such an exciting thing because as you can imagine, people will be bidding on the works, and for a student or for anyone really who's there to see their work being auctioned off live, it can be kind of scary, but also really exciting if it does well.
Right. So. Imagine something really flying up in price. That students there saying, "Oh man, I got it made." I got
it happens.
Or at least with that one piece anyway. What size are these paintings going to be, or pictures? What are they varying?
It ranges from pretty small, from something that's maybe 3 by 5 inches to something that's 3 by 5 feet.
And people can preview this artwork just like we're doing today by visiting the website. And again, that URL?
It is www.montserrat.edu and then Artrageous28.
And just put a slash there, /Artrageous28. And we're going to go right to that page. And there's both live auction work and there's also the silent auction work. So they're quieter pictures, right?
Yes,
that was good, John. That was good. That was good.
Probably been used before. I don't know. So now the whole preview process, is there a certain time at which they can do that?
Well, online you can go anytime, but we also have several public preview dates, and then you can go to the site at Shetland Park, and all the art will be installed, and those are the 2 days leading up to the auction from 10 to 3, and people can come and see the work kind of at a more quiet time, because the night of the event there's going to be crazy, 800 people. And
800?
I think so.
At least.
That's what we're hoping for,
That's going to be intense. Well, so the live preview is going to be again in March 26th and 27th and 28th, and maybe between 10 and 3. That's at least what my notes refer me to. So that should be nice, and people can get up close with it and really feel as though is this for me? Is this for me?
Right.
Yeah. I got to ask this question too. How do people pick art? How do they pick something? How should they pick something?
I think that it's such a personal thing, right? And I always feel there's this great story about Picasso, right? Picasso is walking through a market, and there's this terrible little painting on the ground that someone is selling, and it's a really, really bad painting, and Picasso buys it. And he's walking with his friend Georges Braque. And Braque says, "Pablo, why did you buy that painting?" And he said, "Well, someone has to love it." You know? So that's kind of how I feel about art. Like, you look at these things and you think, that's something I want to live with. That's something I want to reflect on every day. Because I think if the piece is really, really good, it says something different to you every time you look at it.
So rather than striving to hone a Picasso or a Rembrandt or a Locke, we should go out and say, what fits me?
You should probably get a Locke, right? I want to be clear about that. That you should probably do that, but you know, it really should be something that speaks to you. Absolutely.
Yeah. First and foremost, I totally agree, because you're going to hopefully be living with this. You're not going to put it in a drawer or a closet. You're going to put it on a wall somewhere in your home. So I think the first reason for choosing something should be that you're going to love it or that it speaks to you in some way.
So we have the art auction coming up in March, and then afterwards we got an exciting display in May if we happen to be in the Detroit area.
In the Motor City.
In the Motor City. And any other quick things going on at Montserrat College for the remaining months of 2013 you want to share?
Well, I think we always have exhibitions up. We have 3 different spaces, like I told you. Our seniors have thesis exhibitions that are going up in 301 Gallery on Cabot Street. And every Wednesday night from 5 to 8 p.m. we will have an opening where they will be showing off their current body of work. So I think it's open to the public. It would be a great way for people to get to know what we do at Montserrat, and everyone's invited. And
what a great way to spend a night in Beverly. Go and see some art, and then enjoy some of the wonderful restaurants that we have downtown.
Exactly, walking distance.
Yeah, I know. It's just great between the coffee shops and just all the entertainment available.
There is really good coffee in Beverly.
There is good coffee in Beverly.
If you want a reason to come to Beverly, there is really good coffee here.
That's right. We don't have to stick to the big chains, which a lot of people do. We can can go to the smaller places and they also have some nice character and some nice characters.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's really a great city. It's really been a pleasure to have you on Kiwanis Conversations. Leonie, I'm excited for you because you're going to stay around and enjoy Montserrat, and I'm so excited for you, Steve, because you're going to have some great exposure for your work, and I know that you have a connection to Montserrat that will last for quite some time. So, Leonie, thank you again for being with me.
Thanks, John.
Good
luck. It was a pleasure.
Yes, it certainly has been. You've been watching another edition of Kiwanis Conversations. My name is John Maihos for the Kiwanis Club of Beverly. And people do ask, what is Kiwanis? Kiwanis is a global organization of volunteers dedicated to improving the world, one child and one community at a time. For the Kiwanis Club of Beverly, I'm John Maihos. We'll see you next time.
Changes catch your eye, and you come to realize one can make a difference. Reach out, stand out, find out what it's all about. See it all, stand tall, be there to catch them when they fall. Life is bigger than just one. But one can make a difference. Nothing changes quite as much as change, and the things we rearrange, trying to make a difference. Reach down, deep down, look at the sky of another town. Listen well, the wind will tell you something good is in the air. Oh, life is bigger than just one. Oh, but one can make a difference. Life is bigger than just one, but one can make a difference. Life is bigger than just one, but one can make a difference.